SonoGames is really the most creative event that I've ever been a part of.
The teams that make it out of round 2 are the ones that work together and stay cool under pressure.
These residents bring a huge amount of energy and excitement to everything that they do.
And actually, Joe Perry decided to cover my whole body in gel in front of 300 people and start scanning me while blindfolded.
It did exist when I was a resident. I never competed. I desperately wanted to. I couldn't get a team together.
All the Midwest schools are really playing nice together, even Michigan and Ohio State.
I tell my teams it's all about teamwork.
And being in Indianapolis, it would have been a terrible wasted opportunity if we didn't create a racetrack.
I have no idea who these people are, where they get their inspiration.
The residents bring it every year.
It's going to be a good one.
My name is Melissa McMillan, and I am the Society for Academic Emergency Medicine liaison to the Academy of Emergency Ultrasound.
Hey, I'm Rachel Liu.
My name's Joe Perry.
So my name is Calvin Huang.
My name is Elaine Sichi-Lacasse.
Lori Stoltz.
My name is Craig Bolger from The Ohio State University.
My name is Rob Wong.
My name is Megan Leo.
You guys ready? It's going to be great.
I think Vanilla Ice said it best: stop, collaborate, and listen. But instead of listening, you're going to be using ultrasound. Good luck, guys.
It all started in this little Ethiopian restaurant called Dukem in Washington, D.C., where Risa Lewis, Dave Bonner, and I sat down to just have a friendly chat. And we started talking about what everyone's doing at their institution, and Dave shared that there's a competition that really helped generate interest and education at his institution.
We had done something at Ohio State called the Ultrasound Olympics. We changed the name to the Ultrasound Challenge. This was about 2009. The people kept saying that our medical students were better than our residents and others, and we wanted to try to see how good they actually were. So we had a local Sono Ultrasound Challenge with about 30 students in 2010. And then we had a second ultrasound challenge. We invited other schools. We were writing a white paper with Risa Lewis and Teresa Liu up in Washington, D.C., and I was telling them about that experience. And we said, I think that the idea kind of came up, why don't we do that at the resident level?
And the rest of is history.
So SonoGames started in 2012, and the first year was just crazy.
We're more interactive, we're more exciting.
When I stepped into the auditorium for the first SonoGames, I immediately realized how awesome and powerful an event it was. The room was packed, this excited murmur kind of going around of what this was going to be.
You also started at SonoGames. It wasn't clear if it was going to be a technical exercise, such as a hands-on test, or it would be something that would be a little bit more fun. And over time, it's evolved to being kind of like a carnival, where there is examinations and competitions, but it's something that's completely different from other education.
There were so many different ideas going around, and no one quite knew how to put it all together. But we made it happen, and then each year since then, it's grown. I think everyone has become a little bit more comfortable with the format and with each other. And the creativity throughout the process has just been progressively more and more each year. The innovation continues to grow, and now that everyone's so comfortable working with each other, it flows seamlessly every year.
So point-of-care ultrasound is an imaging technology where, when you're working clinically, you can address individual questions that are relevant to that patient.
It's not only important for us as clinicians to make our job easier, but it's important for the patients, because I think without it, we're really limited in times where our diagnostic uncertainty is really high. Patients are too sick to move to other areas. We don't have other options. It truly is a life-saving innovation, which is why we've all taken to it so rapidly and why we've integrated into the practice of emergency medicine.
Point-of-care ultrasound, or clinician-performed ultrasound, is ultrasound done with a clinical question in mind.
And this may be in a variety of environments. It might be an emergency department, an ICU, a helicopter, a space station, but it's at the point where the patient's being taken care of.
It's instantaneous, it's affordable, it's mobile, it's repeatable, and I think as the technology changes and becomes more portable, it's just changing the world.
In the thorax, so you can see here the lung point sign.
SonoGames is an opportunity for all of these ED physicians to come together where they're following protocols every day, but this is an area where they can be creative and have fun and learn.
The difference from Year to year, questions gets harder because people are smarter because they've been to previous games.
It's a very active participation, and when you gamify the process of learning, people get into the competitive spirit and they really start ingesting the material in a very real way.
So I think gamification is a great way to teach because you're almost tricking people into learning. They're having fun and then they go home and they're like, wow, I never knew how to do stroke volume or carotid Doppler.
All right, that's very distracting.
All of a sudden, the smile on everybody's face, their eyes brighten, they're just so engaged, and it's just so awesome, and they're learning, and it's just effortless.
Taking ourselves a little bit less seriously in medicine is sometimes a good thing, and allowing ourselves to think about education and games and incorporation of real-time challenge into the real life, it makes a lot of sense.
I think a lot of times learners do better and retain the knowledge better if they're challenged with questions and with making it into a game, making it something fun.
So I think that anytime you get, especially an emergency medicine resident, up and moving and out of their chair, we don't sit well, I think, generally as a specialty. And getting up and being interactive and going around and doing hands-on really, I think, provides a lot of excitement to the learner.
We get teams year after year who sign up, and when they come their first year, they're like, this is not exactly what we expected. It's so much better.
A lot of the competitors have come from the East Coast. There's kind of a mecca of powerhouses in terms of names and coaching. I think that partially plays into it. It generates a lot of interest.
Like, you come to SonoGames to win, but most people don't win, especially if you're not from Boston.
So the Hammer team won last year. We have 2 returning champions, so the pressure's on.
We've got the swag to defend our titles. I feel like we had to bring it all this year just to do it back to back.
I can't say for sure why the programs in the Northeast has really dominated, but you know, I think the West Coast needs to bring it a little bit. Like, let's go.
West Coast, best coast.
I think it'll happen when people from the East Coast move to California and start a team that's from California.
I'm really excited about this year. We've put a lot more coaching into it, a lot more thought went into this. My team right now is studying and scurried away with their coach. I think the West Coast this year is hopefully going to really make a big push forward.
Lights may cause seizures, and if you're post-ictal, it's hard to think.
It gives you an
so
edge,
I think that definitely gives us an edge.
Maybe if we brought the SonoGames more towards the West Coast, we'll get more participation and more motivation to really represent the West.
But there is no reason for other geographic locations not to win it. But I just feel like there's more exposure maybe for this kind of events in Northeast rather than other geographic locations in the country.
Hey, watch out. we play for keeps.
My team has never won. The University of Michigan's team has never won. We would love to win. The teams that win, it's that example of, wow, we don't know anything about what they are doing really well. We probably need to learn that. We need to get better. We need to teach our residents those things, and our residents say, we need to be better at this.
It's because we haven't participated before.
That's true. This is our first one. True.
There has been some dominance in the Northeast, but we're going to try to see if we can win it this year. We think that we have a great institution, Ohio State.
We have some powerhouses that I think are, you know, the sneaky horses coming from the back. Ohio State hopefully will bring it this year as long as they wake up in time.
So the South is busting in. We're going to do this. Is the first year that we're competing in this competition. Yep. And I think that, you know, we've had fun preparing for it, and we're going to do what we can to bring home the gold.
Yeah, we're going to break in big.
It'll be good.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, giddy up.
Giddy
Here
up.
we go.
Setup for SonoGames is actually kind of crazy.
Countless hours on phone calls, reaching out to vendors, organizing equipment to be there.
You have to make sure that the venue knows that we're going to be bringing in like adult tricycles and that there's going to be 180 residents in costume walking through the halls.
I wouldn't say that there was anything super hard. It's absolutely worth the time. There's obviously technical things that aren't as fun, such as editing the PowerPoints that then crash at last minute.
We need to borrow 9 people's
laptops.
And finding a right computer that's compatible, and those are the concerns that we have as faculty, making sure that the games runs well.
And this year especially, we wanted to include even more teams throughout each round. So making that work was a big challenge this year, but I think we really pulled it off, and I think it's going to be awesome.
We have 60 teams coming, and since we have 60 teams coming, we have to set up the questions at the beginning. We have to make sure that the room is set up with the tables for like round 2. We've made a racetrack, which you see a little bit of here. And then we just have all these people we need to orient. We need to get the models in so we can scan them beforehand so that we know that they will have the views that we need. And we also want to make sure that if there's some problem that we find, that we can talk about it in a private setting and not have someone get surprised and get diagnosed with something during SonoGames. With the moderators and the judges, they have to learn about their station. A lot of people have been here before, and so they have an idea of what they're getting into and how crazy it can be. Some people, you know, kind of go in a little bit blind and are kind of surprised about how crazy things get.
So they'll say A, you start with yes or no.
So as a competitor, I got really nervous. A lot of our faculty would oftentimes send emails telling us of their aspirations, goals, and it was a little stressful, I'll be honest, as a resident. And I think the residents here, as much as fun as they have, all come wanting to win. Now as a moderator, I get to actually see the fun of them competing, and there's not as much stress except just making sure that everything goes off well and the people here get to enjoy themselves and really get to highlight all the education that in development of ultrasound that's really come up from across the country with point-of-care ultrasound and emergency medicine.
So I'm going to give you the lowdown on how SonoGames 18 is going to run.
Because I had no idea how the round 1 quizzes worked when I had watched it before. It seemed simple. It's not simple. It's really hard.
So we have 25 questions. They become progressively more difficult. So 30-point questions, 40-point questions, 50-point questions.
So round 1, we're on the stage and in the seats. The teams will have to answer 25 questions.
Murmur you are hearing.
Immediately after that, all teams are going to come to all stations, and each station has a phantom in it. They're going to have to tell the judge which car is in this phantom. Once that happens, we collect those scores, and we'll be able to determine the top 15 from those 60 teams.
Round 1 started way back in 2012, just QA with clickers.
Get your buzzers ready.
People were pretty disappointed, teams in particular, because they prepared so hard to just do clickers audience response. So last year, we actually created a 1A and a 1B. 1B allows every single team that joins to get their hands on the probe, to have some of those skills tested. After the first year, when only 5 teams advanced, we allowed it such that 15 teams would advance. So still to this year, we have 15 teams that will advance to round 2.
We're going to announce the teams that are advancing to round 2. When your team name is called, come on up to the stage. You get your medals here. Vandy, 9th place. Cincy.
Feels great. Yeah, super pumped. Yeah, I'm not sure what to do with my hands. We have those butterfly probes in our hands.
Congratulations.
These costumes are absolutely, positively fantastic.
Costumes and the names, it just blow my mind, like how creative our residents are. They all should be like stand-up comedians.
At the beginning, the teams would come in professional attire, and then we started adding awards for best team name and best team costume.
So Nobles, obviously, Noble is in the name.
We're the Scrotal Pearls of Wisdom.
We're the Hawkins Middle School Ultrasound Club, inspired by Stranger Things.
Pelvis Presley.
So we are the Endocavitary Probers.
So our team name is Piezoelectric Pride SF, and we're here to alias the competition and kick some ass.
Yeah. It's a really unique part about SonoGames, and I think also makes for some really awesome theatrics.
University of Alabama at Birmingham, fast scans at Ridgemont High.
NYU Bellevue, if you like it, then you should have put a probe on it. University of Pennsylvania, Ultra Doors protecting the gallbladder wall.
Thomas Jefferson University, Benny and the Ureteral Jets.
It reminds me of Comic-Con, where everyone's dressing up and going to this big sort of nerdy festival, and everyone's getting really into it.
I think just part of the spirit of what Risa and Andrew created is we should reward teams like when they're creative and they come in cool outfits and uniforms, or when they create a team name that's like a really excellent ultrasound pun.
My favorites of all time was different variations of 50 Shades of Grayscale, which was hilarious.
They are going to be the Tissue Harmonics, my all-lady 80s punk hair band. The frizz will be brought.
We are dressed like kindergartners because we equate intern year to kindergarten.
Variety of fun pelvic ultrasound findings.
I'm pregnant.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much. We went with the spacesuit. You know, I don't know, Prober kind of looks like a spaceman to me. So
one of the other teams were testicles, which I thought was pretty funny.
Scrotal pearls of wisdom. I mean, come on, that's gotta be crowd favorite. And you know, I'm just average Joe. I go for those.
You should have heard all of the giggling going on last night as they were wearing their testicles around.
This is the testicular body, the epididymis here coming out the side, scrotal pearl. A little bit of wisdom.
And the University of Arizona took the costumes to another level.
I've been the faculty captain for the past 2 years for the University of Arizona SonoGames team and their costume designer. We hand make all of our costumes, hand sewn. This year it's truly been a team effort, and honestly the process of just coming together and doing that is what matters.
So we are so much into this that we put more investment, it sounds funny, but into the costumes and the name, more than preparing for the event. I'm joking, but we do put a lot of time into it.
You know, we all wear the same thing. We wear scrubs. We wear maybe our like white coats. And here, people who are like, we want to be superheroes, they're going to be superheroes. People who want to like make a political statement, they're going to make a political statement. They're surrounded by people who are okay with that and think that it's cool. So there's safety in that kind of community, and there's power in numbers.
Once they make it past the written test, if you will, then they get into the hands-on session. And that's really where the magic of SonoGames comes to life.
So most of our student ambassadors are medical students. A lot of times we get them locally from wherever SAM is, so in this case, Indianapolis. In general, they're enthusiastic to learn because they have maybe med school, maybe PA school, maybe nursing school on their horizon. Believe it or not, being a model, you end up learning. You learn where to put the probe, you learn how to scan, you learn about how much pressure to put when holding the probe, you learn how much gel you need to actually perform a scan. You never know what's going to spark the enthusiasm and interest of the education. We believe it's something like SonoGames that sparks that interest and enthusiasm.
Round 2 is a series of 5 station challenges. These have been developed by individuals who have spent hundreds of hours designing their particular station.
A lot of these games have rules that are broadly familiar to a lot of people. Not everyone will have played them, not everyone will know them, but also in some circumstances they're just a little bit esoteric and weird, and we like that. We like being a little esoteric and weird.
I created a station today and it was called Sono Labyrinth, and it's basically an underwater maze. So we had a water table with Legos, and the participants had to drive a little metal ball through the labyrinth with a magnet and using ultrasound as their only guide.
My station for round 2 is going to be pit stop themed. So essentially the participants have to perform a task. We have a driver who's going to be wearing a helmet, and also a director who will be directing the scanner, and a machine operator using a Pictionary style whiteboard.
This is my 3rd year being involved in SonoGames, and the station that we built this year is Sono Battleship.
So we're all dressed as sailors, and the object of the game was to be able to sink as many probes instead of ships, be able to get as many points by answering questions and completing scanning tasks.
There's also a station that's going to have a lot of like kind of gym class style workouts to kind of add the physical element to like try to get people pumped up. Because SonoGames is nothing if not designed to get people pumped up about ultrasound.
Cincinnati had a team today for the first time in history, and not only did they make it out of round 1, but they got 2nd place in round 2, and I couldn't possibly be more proud of them.
Round 3 now is made up of 3 challenges.
Where we're going to shine. This is our best round.
The teams start off in round 3A.
There'll be a series of cases. The cases, each of them have a right answer. They have to choose the right answer.
The top 6 teams who complete that challenge first will then go on to round 3B, which is this year going to be a Sphinx challenge.
It designs these really cool kind of 3-dimensional ultrasound games. Essentially, you're playing a video game, but the only way to control what you're looking at and where you're going is functionally with kind of this electronic like ultrasound probe.
The fastest 4 teams now come off the stage and grab their tricycle ambulance. So they're gonna have to unlock their tricycle ambulance. Once they do that, they're gonna come from here to the racetrack and hit this station again. They're gonna have to remember what was broken on the dummy because those broken places correspond to a task they're gonna have to do. It's either an ultrasound task or a task that uses this new mannequin from Laerdal.
An amazing free-for-all.
Yeah.
Everything is unexpected.
Feels great.
And we got a workout.
Yeah.
Feels so good.
Really good.
We came in to do this, and this is the best possible scenario.
So we're done. We're done.
What a
You know,
success,
this,
man.
This has been probably one of the more awesome ones that I've been part of, and I've been doing this since like 2014. So you know,
right? Yeah.
How'd you feel about your?
When I was participated in 2012, so the first one, each one I think just gets better and better, and I think this one was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Some people could view working with SonoGames as work, and it's really more fun. I really see this as something that I'm glad to be a part of, and I hope to be able to be a part of even after I don't have a position that says I need to be.
I think the future for SonoGames is endless. I think there's a lot of possibility, like scanning in every round. You know, if we have these handheld ultrasounds, why can't they be scanning on themselves?
This doesn't necessarily have to be something at a national meeting. This is something that is scalable to residency programs, medical schools, international. I see this model for education drawing people in, really expanding everywhere.
One of my colleagues was saying the other day to a prospective medical student that the ultrasound community is really weird in that we are oddly friendly with one another and we all seem to be very good friends. And I guess I didn't know that that was different than the way the other groups are.
So that's a wrap from SonoGames 2018. I'm Megan.
I'm Rachel.
And we'll see you next year in Las Vegas.